Hello, my friends. I'm Jeff Yalden, celebrity teen and family life coach, renowned youth motivational speaker, and teen author. For 20 years, I've traveled all over the world, touching hearts and changing lives. You have questions, I have answers. I am here for you. And together, I hope to bring purpose, passion, and direction to your life and your family. Hello, my friends from Boston, Massachusetts, and worldwide. You are listening to the Jeff Yalden Show. I am honored and excited, but I don't think I've ever been so nervous in my life. We are going to be talking today about special needs and being a parent advocate for a child with special needs and how special needs fits in the school system and how parents deal with trying to get the right care for their children. I have a special guest in the studio today, Gail Fidelity from Medway. Basically, Gail is an expert in having gone through the work to make sure that she has the best care for her son. Gail, thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Jeff, for having me.
Yeah, Gail, my pleasure. Obviously, you know, this is such a sensitive subject, and it's hard that we have to think about our terminology and the language and the energy that we use to speak, because it's almost like it's taboo. We don't want to talk about special needs or children with autism. We have to be careful. You know, Gail, before we get started, it bothers me that we live in such a politically correct society that here we have to be very careful that we don't offend people we might not be covering this disability, or we're talking too much about this disability. Something just happened to me on the way into the radio station. I had the honor and opportunity and privilege of speaking at Timberlane Regional High School in Plastow, New Hampshire yesterday. What a great school, great administration, great kids. We had a great day.
Awesome.
But I got an email from the gentleman that brought me in, and I guess a young lady, a girl, maybe she was 15, 16 years old. She's the sister of a boy who has a disability. I don't know what disability. And I guess I make a comment after my program about my nephew Patrick has autism. He's 20 years old. He's more on the other extreme side of the spectrum. I don't mean to insult, offend, but I talk about how my nephew may never get married. My nephew may never, we drove here. He may never drive.
Right.
He may never have a girlfriend. He may never be able to go on vacations by himself like you and I can. So the girl, and I'm proud of the girl for really looking out for her brother, and I'm that is awesome. But the parents heard from the girl, and the parents contacted the school. They were really offended and upset. I called Tim. I called the school right away. They know it wasn't my intention. And I learned that maybe I should use the extreme other side of the spectrum so it's more known what I'm talking about. But it upsets me that here we're choosing to do this show because you know, I remember many years ago, what was it, 1 out of every 180 children born had autism?
That was the number then, yep.
That was years ago. And now it's, from what I heard, 1 out of every 55 children.
Something very much like that, yep.
Have autism. So, you know what, then we're talking about your son, Owen, who has epilepsy, and where all that started. So, I'm really excited you're here, and I hope that you and I can walk out of here not offending people, but if people are offended, they understand our intent is not to offend, but to educate and inform and to help those parents, and also to really help the schools and maybe teenagers that are listening to understand that these children that you make fun of because you think you know 5% about them, they're human.
Yep.
They have a heart. They feel, and they just wish that maybe they can have a day off. So I'm glad you're here. I'm excited to do the radio show, and I'm hoping that we can reach out to some parents. Gail, what is it that made you get so involved in this?
Wow, loaded question. Just back to what you just said, I think, you know, when you were doing your talk the other day, you know, I think you maybe touched a button about communication. Maybe, maybe in that family there's not a lot of communication, because there needs to be a lot of communication, open communication about disabilities, and so there could be a lack of education within the family, or not, but there's just that communication. So maybe they didn't have all the knowledge they needed to know, and so went from what you were talking about, your nephew, and it kind of just got attached to the other kid. That's what I would say about that. It's more educating, more inclusive conversations with your family members, your community, your school, everything. I think that's one thing for the disclaimer is we're going to say something wrong today, I'm sure, but we have open hearts and we're trying to be real, so let's just go forward with that. I think we're going to do a good job.
Yeah, I'm not so concerned about offending people because our intention is right. We're not coming in here to try and make fun of such a serious topic, because my message today is for parents of children with special needs, disabilities, but my message is also to encourage those parents to make sure that the schools give them what they need so that their child can live a healthy, life and feel as normal as possible.
Productive life.
People will be offended, but you know what? Let them be offended. Our intent is greater than what they could probably do. So, we're too politically correct. I'll let them get over it. One of these here, I was doing some homework. Special needs is an umbrella underneath which a staggering array of diagnoses can be wedged. Children with special needs may have mild learning disabilities or profound cognitive impairment, such as simple things like food allergies or terminal illness. I mean, food allergies or terminal illness. Someone asked me yesterday, I was in the special needs room at Timberlane, if I was allergic to peanuts. So, food allergies or a terminal illness. I mean, or developmental delays that catch up quickly or remain entrenched, occasional panic attacks, or serious psychiatric problems. The designation is useful for getting needed services, setting appropriate goals, and gaining an understanding for a child and a stressed family. Gail, what is it in the family, in the home, what is it like dealing every day with a child that can get up, go to school, make their breakfast, pack their bag, can give you a hug and a kiss and say, I'll see you later, Mom, versus a parent that's having to deal with a child with special needs on both sides of the spectrum? What is it that our audience needs to understand about the families with special needs within their four walls?
Well, I can speak about my family because that's where I become the expert. I really believe that, for us, it was all about educating ourselves about our son's disabilities. So it was really kind of going back to school, not the physical school, but kind of, Googling and going on the internet and finding out kind of more information specific to Owen, so I could understand what was going on. And then so there's this, home-based education you have to do. Then there's this home-based support you need. You have to start looking for your natural supports within your community if you can. So that might be other people like you, or situations like yourself. That kind of happens in the park sometime. It
Right.
would sometime happen for me in a park.
Is there a big, I'm going to call it a mastermind group. And the reason I want to call it a mastermind group, when you have a child and, you go through all the tests, you want the every child's healthy. When all of a sudden you find out that your child has special needs, your life just gets turned upside down. You're giving up on your dreams and you're giving up on your goals for the time being because you have to put all that energy towards your child. Are there a lot of other families where this happens? Like, we're in the Medway, Milford, beautiful area of central Massachusetts. When you seek to have this mastermind group, were there other people saying, I need some help too?
No, I couldn't. I had to find them. You have to really look hard and wide for the information.
And how do you find them?
Well, the first places I looked at were, I found people in the parks, but the second place is I could tell you by experience a few years out is each town has within the school system a SPEDPAC, a Special Education Advisory Council Board, and they're made up of volunteer parents who have a variety of special needs, from everything to dyslexia, to mental illnesses, to any of the spectrum-related things, to food allergies. They have monthly meetings, workshops, and trainings. And I didn't know this till I actually became involved, that anyone in Massachusetts, if I really wanted to go to the Milford CPAC, and they're open meetings, because they're open meetings to the public, and there was a great speaker in Milford or maybe Newton or Lexington, wherever it is, I can go. So that's how another place where I started hooking up with other parents. And so then your community becomes smaller. That's what I've noticed. And
right.
And then I would ask, you'd share your story. You have a voice, you have a story. Some people don't automatically always do that, but eventually you do.
Well, you know what, and I appreciate our listeners listening in right now. You're listening to the Jeff Yalden Show on WMRC 1490 Radio. I have Gail Fidelity in here, and we're talking about special needs and disabilities and families and education. And, a lot of the families, maybe they don't want to open up right away because we're nervous, we're scared. This is a new road we're going down too. When you're seeking to becoming an advocate or finding people that can help you with your questions, who do you trust? Because I'm going to give all my attention, everything I have, to make sure that my child is safe and my child gets the treatment or the services, that that child needs. So you're coming in, this person's coming in, my disability is different than yours. So I can understand a family. And like I said, I have a 20-year-old nephew who has autism. We have a 3-year-old niece who has Down syndrome, and I'm the father figure of a 15-year-old boy who's developmentally delayed. So I'm really, really passionate about this, and I can understand how, Gail, sometimes it's embarrassing that, Gail, I'm going to wait to after break to tell the story about Patrick and how people judge you all the time.
Yep.
You are listening to the Jeff Yalden Show on WMRC 1490 Radio. We will be right back.